A marathon Mirage came to a close, and now we're headed towards Inferno. Statistically, Potter, this doesn't bode too well for Espada, but the last time these two teams played each other on Inferno, it was another very close nail-biter. It ended 16-13 to VP, so after what we just saw, I have no idea what to expect.
Yeah, me neither. You know, we talked about it. You mentioned it in the beginning. It's always been VP coming out on top every time these two teams have met head-to-head. But you take a look at these score lines. You just mentioned that 16-13. It's been getting closer and closer. And if this Mirage just kind of showcased what to expect in this series, it's Inferno, right? It's always the third map. It's always those OTs after OTs. So if they follow this trend, we're looking at another close one here, Vince.
No, we absolutely are. I think this is going to be another one that goes down to the wire. I'm just curious on if VP come out and try and make a bit of a declaration of intent here. If they come out and really set the ground ablaze with a very fast start, because I think they've got a couple of points to prove. I mean, listen, they got a great result at Flashpoint not long ago, absolutely escalating towards the very top of Counter-Strike. But if they do slip and slide too many times, people will start to think that they're beatable. They'll start to think that they're mortal after all. So I think they need a pretty solid performance here, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, they're absolutely postured forward, especially in the way that Mirage just ended. Their in-game leader in James, you saw all the smiles coming out, all the players. Those are those feel-good rounds. And when James, your in-game leader, is able to convert a clutch like that and showcase those big brain maneuvers, that really just kind of lifts up the morale of the entire team. So hopefully that shows a more dominant looking VP, but Espada have shown that either way, whatever VP are throwing their way, they're ready and they're willing to fight back and swing back. So, man, I just don't even know what to expect for this Inferno right now.
I think you raised the crucial point though, Potter. Yes, it's now 7-0 in favor of VP in their confrontations, but it's got closer and it's got closer. And for me, that's what Espada have got to hold on to. Yes, it's a disappointing loss. You'll feel gut punched by losing Mirage, but you are so close to getting the upset victory. And surely they can build off the back of that. They're starting on the CT side as well. So they have a good chance at least establishing themselves early on and maybe making VP sweat again. Finnegan already taking a positive angle alongside Patsy, but they have lost the first player, and it's Buster that chimes in. And now they flash away Patsy. This is going to be an awkward exchange, and Espada needs support quickly.
The two players being in the site right now might catch off VP, this bait and switch, but that Molotov is actually going to push Thoughtpick out just even a little bit further out. Patsy's able to find one, but the quick trade coming in from Yukindar.
Quick trade is good and affords them the bomb plant. Also, puncturing through the smoke is Buster's USP, and that lays it all down to Dexter 1-on-4. In terms of aim, the guy is definitely capable of pulling off these kinds of rounds, but VP will be a tough adversary. At the first block, he nearly stumbles, does hold on. Enough resolve to yield the kill. He's trading weapons to try and get more ammunition in the magazine. There's also a very fast flank all the way around the back from James. These are not plays that you expect to come up against. So even though he's getting the kills and he's carving a path, there's no longer enough time on the fuse of the bomb. He's going to go down with the ship. He's already accepted his fate. And he gets blown into round 2. VP will be leading.
That cool, quick banana control, and it's Buster being able to find the opening. Buster's just been so instrumental, man. He's definitely not the superstar player when we think about this Virtus.pro lineup, but he's just been that consistent factor, whether he's an anchor in a site or whether he's being used as a weapon or that secondary AWP. VP have absolutely elevated their game off the back of Buster. And he comes through huge in the pistol once again. A force buy coming up from Espada. They've invested everything. Dexter has some money left in the bank. Makes sense since he is the sniper. And Sophic goes down. This opens up the A bomb site completely.
Yeah, Patsy is the last safeguard. But actually, not just pulling in the numbers, he's also pulling out some headshots. Yukinda will certainly give him as good as he has received in the past. And now VP will be getting that 2-0. Espada, though, at least should be able to hold on to these Deagles and the Kevlars alongside them, which does give them a chance at least posing a threat into the next round, Potter. So in terms of a loss, I know it's going to obviously sting, but they've got at least something to look forward to.
Yeah, absolutely. Round 2, run it back. Try and try again. Especially the fact that they have those 3 smokes and the full Kevlar. This is a lot of money that they're saving into the next round. We saw how much impact one smoke could have, actually, last round for these Espada guys. Almost completely won the round by itself, so... Especially on Inferno, Vince, I think it's a good point. We'll see what these saved weapons and utility can do for Espada into this next round.
And it doesn't seem like much, you know, on face value, thinking, oh, Kevlar and Deagles, well, that equates to $6,400 of equipment value before they just added another Deagle into the mix. So that is significant amounts, as you say, and it does give them a little bit of a shot in the dark, as it were. 3 players over on a fairly standard start and an early smoke into middle. No SMGs on VP. They're not interested. So that run and gun style going to be cut a little bit short, which means, of course, that if they were to lose any of these rifles, that actually is a significant body blow. It's not like there's any expendable weapons here. We can send in the MAC-10. If they get kills, great. If not, no problems. This could be a bit of a dodgy and shaky round, but it's going to start off well for VP. Couple moments I thought Demo was maybe going to carve a path through 2 or 3 players. Instead, though, he goes down without too much of a fight.
Patsy, things might get interesting here, but the range... He does get taken out. Sanji, good response, and... Yeah, at this point, Espada are just getting dwindled down. Dexter is in the right place, almost at the right time. He finds a good 1 dig onto himself, does another. And this is where things get real scary for VP. Finnegan, he still has that smoke. Oh, it might not even matter. Sophic getting taken down there. Oh, this is wild. Buster just kind of gave his life away. Dexter's still doing a lot of damage. Yukindar down to 7 HP. And Finnegan, he was already on the other bomb site with that smoke in play. There were so many things that actually could have gone wrong for VP in this round. But thankfully, they are able to recover. I say that. Finnegan is going to go sniffing around, but he's just so low. He's just going to try to get a gun for himself.
Yeah,
and here we are, secured.
Secured, and also 3 guns taken away from VP, although they will be able to replenish those fallen weapons. This, in the bigger picture, could come back to haunt them. And here's Galil's, and an AK that will be lost as a result. They can buy no problems. You're expecting to see maybe an AWP come into play for the likes of Jane. But, I mean, you can't really ask any more of Dexter here, Potter. Like, what he did in this round is nothing short of a miracle. He nearly single-handedly, with just a Desert Eagle by his side, pulled off a ridiculous round. And now Espada can actually follow it up with a rifle pick of their own. Jane doesn't go for the AWP. He actually settles with the AK instead.
Quick look on the mid for Dexter. He's not going to be given a fight, but man, those nades do so much. And Dexter, what a madman, goes for a deep aim, and he was almost good for it. He takes a lot of damage, but that's the price you pay for such a risky maneuver. Almost pays off, but man, just misses by a sliver. Finnegan's feeling the pressure, uses that smoke in apartments a little early, I'd say. That's a lot of util being wasted towards this A. I think VP have already identified that. You can see a lot of the members coming up towards this mid. It's all going to come down to these shots. Dexter, he's got to be good for it.
Oh, that's the bomb. That's the bomb in a really awkward spot, but now Dexter has got to start landing some shots. He desperately requires assistance as well from Patsy, but they've both fallen. Sophic is next, and Dimo is still on B side. The call didn't come through early enough, but I completely agree with you, Potter. It felt like Espada were maybe a little bit tentative and desperate, preemptive with their nade usage. And when you have Finnegan, who's on balcony with only the Galil, it's not like he can get those insta headshots to rip out and have a really good job of holding down the site by himself. VP were always destined to have the advantage in that engagement.
Exactly. And just the fact that a lot of these members were towards that mid and they heard that balcony smoke pop is almost exactly at the same time as that top mid smoke pop. You just do the quick math and there's just one smoke remaining. And the fact that it's the first gun round coming into it, usually the CT's money isn't always the best, maybe missing a piece of utility. So VP, they just kind of pounce in that moment and it just came down to the shots at that point. So they make this round look dominant, Vince. Quite dominant. I do wonder why Espada used their utility so early. Maybe there was a flash that we missed. Maybe there was a defender that was blind and the call was made that a hit was on the way. But either way, a bit of a wonky buy coming out from Espada. One rifle, one saved AWP, and some deagles. And again, a lot of smokes. And Dexter just eats another grenade.
I wonder if the Rapids utility usage was as a result of Dexter's kind of failed pick in middle. When him getting tagged down low, they felt that they had to buy him up enough time to relocate. Mentioning him, geez, he's actually got a kill alongside Dimmer. They've got 2 frags. It does get answered back on, but considering that Espada had very little to play with in this round, that's a beautiful start. And now it forces VP to try and get aggressive on A. It would effectively come down to a 2-on-3. VP have the advantage before these rotations come in. Smoke to the front side of the site does allow them to hide in position. Library has not been smoked off. Some more peaks will be coming in. Dimmer takes down the bomb carrier of Jame, and now Yakinda is trying desperately to put some bullets through that smoke to deal with the oncoming threat. But it's Dimmer with the AK that comes out swinging again. Sanji 1-on-2 had a slow Mirage, but can he pick up the pace here on Inferno? Perforates the smoke, 40 seconds. And may get peeked on his left-hand side, and Dimmer with his 4th gets Espada across the finish line.
Vince, what happened to James? He just started planting the bomb in the open. I'm not sure what the communication was this round, but it looked like VP could have taken over the site together. Maybe that smoke made them second-guess themselves, but James just started planting in the open. That was a freebie for Espada. They'll absolutely take those all day, and VP are punished. A scrappy buy coming out from Espada. They won the duel's top banana, and they're rewarded for it.
Off the back of some very successful B holding. Is that something that Espada will get much more endeavors from in the future? Or the VP just say, fair enough, maybe we'll pressure elsewhere for a while and force your hand into apps, into A. Good early grenades, though, from Espada, actually smoking down deep onto the face of the T's, forces them back onto the T steps and the lower side of middle. And Dimmer, who is perched up, now gets flashed out of position. Has Sotfik behind him, so he's not all alone. But quite centralized defense on A. Interestingly, nobody was over on Arches for a considerable amount of time. Now they've turned back around there with Dexter. But it's Dimmer, who has been in such fine form, while fully flashed still connects onto Kicker. And that should be the round that follows up.
Dimmer doing work towards this B. Buster heard the sound cues. He sees the shoulder of Dexter. This is going to be a huge play. Oh, but he swings a little too wide and gives his full body, full vision to Dexter there. Unfortunate. Definitely an opportunity to have an incredible round. But yeah, it's just going to be James saving out this AWP. And Espada just winning out every duel across the map. Dima just 100 HP, even gets a blind kill in the round. So a lot of things going right. That good old Counter-Strike luck that we love so much going into Espada's court this round. But I do gotta say the spacing was kind of awkward. Yakinda was very much ahead there, relying heavily and fully into that flash, but it didn't work. The flash was either too short or the sandbag caught the edge of it. But Dima was not blind, and Dexter, man, he's going for another play. Picks off James. That was the lone AWP. It is recovered from Buster, but Dexter is feeling himself right now, Vince. He's feeling good.
Again, you're seeing him use every spawn that's allocated to him. If he has a good B spawn, he goes peeking it. Has a good mid spawn, goes peeking it. Has a good second mid spawn, he's peeked that as well. Goes to show that he has supreme confidence in himself, even though his team are struggling. Although you could maybe say that the struggle is over. It was 4-0, and now Espada have won 2 rifles in a row, and they're looking so much better for it. As you highlighted, though, Potter, it's not as if the AWP has gone into the abyss. Buster can pick that up for himself. Flashbang keeps him at bay for a moment, but they have drawn over a 3rd player onto the B side of Espada. And Sotfik now goes for a rotation. Maybe the timing will work against the CTs. But Dexter is here with his AWP. After getting the first pick on middle, he's now relocated, and he's put down both the AWPs. That AWP on the VP side is now cursed. Anyone that picks it up is a dead man.
It does seem that way. Each player trying their hand at it. It's now in Kickert's hands. Yakindar is going to be the sacrificial lamb. Let's see if Kicker can get a trade. He cannot. And yeah, just one by one. Everyone will fall there. Couple of dominant rounds in a row coming through for Espada. You mentioned it, Vince. Dexter, he's starting to get real mobile, starting to heat up. And CT side Inferno is definitely a map that you can really take over a game when you're a dominant AWPer with a lot of confidence as well. This top banana fight wasn't looking so hot for Espada in the beginning, but they've definitely started to turn things around. Dima has been spearheading that lead, but Kicker, man, he looks like he should be burning alive, but he's not. This might catch Dima completely off guard.
Yeah, I think it may bait them. You assume no one's behind this half wall. Now they realized it. They've lost 2 players. He saw the shadow before Sotfik peeked. Especially with that second Molotov, you're thinking, well, surely he's not behind the half wall, because that's such a dangerous position to be in at that stage. James has gone down as Patsy wide swings before the smoke has a chance to fully plume. The timing for Sanji could not have been worse, and his reaction says it all. He was in mid-flight while he got peeked by Dexter. Had no hope, no chance. Patsy spraying wildly through the smoke. Gets a gimme from Kicker. It's a freebie, as will be the round in the end. There were a couple of moments of worry, of grimaces for Espada, but that will be their 4th round in a row.
Dude, Patsy was so aware, completely baited Kicker into that play. You saw it. He had his spidey senses tingling. He knew that a player was going to go for a play like that. VP being desperate in a potential post-plant scenario, so he baits the spray, and Kicker follows it through. But man, that shot onto Sanji, I would be pissed off if I was Sanji. That's crazy that the timing just comes to bite Sanji so hard in the butt like that. But another round lost for VP and Espada. They're starting to put up a formidable defense here. Was down 0-4, and now that's 4 rounds in a row.
No recognition. Dima did the most damage in regulation on Mirage, but ended the 30th with 0 MVPs. Just goes to show. Supreme team player. Doesn't need the spotlight pot. It doesn't need the limelight. He'll just chug along and he'll do his work. VP, they have an AK. They actually are forcing this quite late. I was surprised to see this much money put in, but it's only Kicker that will be struggling into the next. And of course, when you've lost 4 rounds, their round loss bonus will be more than good enough to get a solid purchase into the next. Good flashes early on. Espada have been putting 3 players on B the last 4 or 5 rounds. I wonder at what point VP recognized that, and how do they adapt accordingly? Do we start to see more rapid A hits come to the forefront like this?
I think you're spot on. Eventually, the reaction will come, and it looks like they have identified that. The wrap is coming through. Passy seems to be aware of it, but there's about to be 3 targets in his crosshair. That's way too many. The spread, the space is perfect for BP. Dexter's under a lot of pressure, and he just gets traded out. That's the A site gone. This is a post-plant scenario. The AWP is in Yakindar's hands, and that's it. Espada, they've got to back away. They've got to save what they have, and that was fast-paced, and you said it, Vince. You called it right from the get-go, and that's exactly the change of pace that VP needed. They identified all the utility. That's way too much traffic that was happening top B. It's got to be at least 3 members. The win condition was this fast A pop, and they're rewarded for that fast reaction.
So this is where the mind games and that game of chess comes in. Do Espada blink? Do they end up playing 2 on B again? And if they do, are VP then in a good position to start hitting B fast as well? Because I'm not too sure how this next round comes down. Do we see a tactical timeout maybe deployed? Do we start to get that mind game come to the forefront? Because this was always going to be a massacre. The second they changed their attention towards arches, it was basically a done deal. We do indeed have a timeout coming into play. Both teams will be able to rummage together a really good buy. I'm not sure this is a tactical, though. This may be a technical, unfortunately.
Well, that gives us some room to breathe, Vince. I feel like starting from Mirage and continuing on to this Inferno, it's just been back and forth, back and forth. And I think a good point to bring up here is on Mirage, we saw Espada having that 7-round run where they just completely dominated. And from there, things starting to bite them. You know, Dexter started peaking and re-peaking maybe a little too much, maybe the inexperience starting to come in. Either way, there's so many factors that start to come into play when the matches start to go on longer and the stamina starts to really start playing an effect on your decision making. So Espada need to make sure that they hold on to whatever momentum they're gathering for themselves moving forward, because they just had a 4-round win streak and VP had an answer. So a lot of decisions to be made.
Decisions indeed. VP are 1 map away from eliminating Espada and securing their spot in the semi-finals. They would face Gambit tomorrow, which is such a tantalizing prospect. Many would have expected, certainly myself, would have expected that to be the grand finals, but Fours had other ideas. Espada still more than capable to bring this back, make this map theirs, and take us to an all-important decider. I think it's safe to say, though, that VP, after starting very well, you have to put contextually that 5-round to 4 mark, 4 of those rounds came off the back of the pistols. So once Espada have got their rifles in play, once they've had the AWPs in a good position, they've been doing a lot of damage. They've been getting a lot of success, but we've already touched on it in that previous round, Potter, that I feel like VP may have now read the situation. This is maybe where the knife starts to turn a little bit in Espada, and VP maybe use that experience to their utmost ability and maybe start to edge forward again.
Absolutely. I think I just heard some typing.
Sometimes a good sign. Apparently, we're only going to be waiting another 2 minutes or so. So, like, obviously, we can delve a little bit more into what we've seen so far over the duration of this best of 3. In the first map, looking at the frags, James actually had a blinder, 39 kills and 22 deaths with plus 17, a 1.43 rating. And the top fragger for Espada may be a player that you wouldn't necessarily expect. It was actually Finnegan. It wasn't Dexter. It was Finnegan who landed on a 1.28 rating with a plus 11 kill spread, 37 kills, 26 deaths. He hasn't really had as much ability in this game, I would say, to have had a huge amount of say. He's typically been over on like the B app side, and either they've been hitting B time and time again, or he just gets rushed down by 5 players. It's always the nightmare of being an apps player, but definitely a guy to watch out for as this map continues.
Yeah, definitely so. And yesterday, Finnegan had those incredible rounds where he was just finding the positioning to allow him to have all the time in the world to spray. Now, it wasn't the most polished spray that we've seen out of the best players in the world, but the fact that he was consistently put into those scenarios where he had the opportunity to have himself a clip, I think is really important. And it's good to see that today his play is a little bit more polished. But I am still waiting for Kicker to show up in the server, Vince. I think Kicker is an exciting player to watch, and We always talk about those multi-kills and the impact that a player can bring, and Kickert is just one of those players that is able to just pull a rabbit out of a hat, right? Just making their own luck and turning around completely around. And I love seeing and watching those types of players, how they break down the rounds, and Kickert just happens to be one of those players. And the fact that he was speaking so confidently in the interview coming into this series, I think it was supposed to be a huge wake-up call for these guys, but it has just been neck and neck with this underdog Espada team.
Yeah, I certainly agree. I think Kicker is, again, one of those players you expect to see towards the top alongside the likes of Buster, and he actually ended with more deaths than kills on Mirage, which was very surprising to me, under a 1 rating. But fill time is over. We're back into the action. The coach seemingly has reconnected. We are all good to go, and that aggression from Dexter this time will not work out. He missed his 2 shots, and Dimmer could not help him out. Great flashbangs and smokes tossed in. It was a 3-player stack up on Banana again, and Buster spins down and takes the head of Sophic. You probably don't expect to see Dimmer also here behind the sandbags, but if Buster can hold his resolve and take down Dimmer, it would have been a complete collapse. As it stands, Finnegan, that player I mentioned earlier, that's not really had a chance to really show his will, takes down 2 softened targets and gives this a chance. Espada 2-on-2 post plant.
Man, another potential spray down. That spray transfer almost coming to fruition. He may have just done enough. Sanji is squished down a little bit to half HP, but James in prime position, that shadow giving away everything from Patsy. And Dima all of a sudden, in a really near impossible situation, decides to just back out of it. And again, we see the same play, Vince. VP putting a lot of pressure. They know Espada do not want to back down. They don't want to give up this top B. The same sort of duels has been happening time and time again. Dima, he has to survive here, but now he's stuck. That Molotov, the movement coming out from James. Oh, that AWP going into the next round would have been huge. Dima could have had a lot more utility to back him up as well because of it. Now he's going down to that MP9. I think that Espada have to come into this round with a little bit of a different approach. This top banana fight, whether they're winning it or not, it doesn't matter for them at this point. They're losing the other bomb site as a result of it. But again, we see the 3 members, they're just butting their head right back into it, Vince. They're fighting for this banana and they lose it again.
You know, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head, especially with the phrasing of butting their head constantly on this banana side. It does feel like it's a case of a bit stubbornness, being too headstrong, not realizing like it's not working. We need to change something up. I don't know if they're out of ideas. I don't know if they're running out of steam, but they've got to get a good read of the situation here, Potter. If they continue to play this way, they're going to lose this match. Like VP, they've made the adjustments, they've made the tweaks. They are now getting success consistently, whether it be on Banana or taking the initiative and just driving home through middle. At some point, Espada have got to realize this, surely.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe throwing some finesse into the mix. It's definitely a lot of options still on the table. It's just a matter of figuring out what Espada are confident in, and it just seems like the only option they're confident in is just straight up dueling towards that top B. But hopefully they do have another layer to their game plan. 3 players. Okay, the hunt is on. It's beginning. VP kind of want to put a checkmate into this half. If they're even able to find a 1 kill here,
huge. Sophic had a bit of a rough game so far. His woes continue. Yakinda takes his head clean off. It looks like Dexter and Finnegan will live through the round, but losing that 3rd player doesn't really afford them the luxury of getting a solid buy. And again, that just reeks of desperation. Patsy and Dimmer line up for a double spray from Buster, who couldn't believe his luck in that position there. 7-4 lead on VP. Espada don't fully invest behind the 2 saved guns. They still have enough, though, to make this a costly round. That's not a great Molotov. It's obviously supposed to go in towards the bedroom.
A lot of noise cues. Dexter knows the jig is up. He's gonna fall back, and this is both the guns. Good choice for them. Live to fight a different angle. And Yukindar. This looks like this is a pretty aggressive off the bat A hit. Okay, the pause does come through. The smoke kind of stops everything in its tracks. And it looks like Dexter's still gonna find the duel that he wants. Beautiful flash. Patsy's good for one. And they should know Dexter's here with the op. That flash assist gives away everything. That's the bomb. Sanji's dropped the bomb top mid. James is gonna be able to smoke it off and potentially retrieve it, but whew, that could have been real dangerous for VP. There's still 2 defenders on this B bomb site though, Vince.
In good positions as well, and they still have flashbangs. They're still blinding across the T's on their approach. KitKat now with the AK makes it stick onto Soptic, but there's still so many threats to contend with. Dimmer was kind of dangled on the end of the rod, and James will bite down alongside KitKat. James is trying to go for a peek, but he's got the bomb. He had the bomb out, but Finnegan didn't anticipate the second peek. That is one of the scrappiest, messiest rounds of Counter-Strike you will ever witness.
Wow, just back and forth. The bomb got dropped in so many awkward positions for VP this round. First, it was Sanji top middle. Then it was James at the top of Banana when the B site was clear. Thankfully, KitKat is able to trade that out, but a scrappy round. And we said it, you know, these are the kinds of scenarios that Espada really want. They want to make this game scrappy. They tend to thrive in those scenarios when not everything is so calculated. Right now, that's a lot of damage done onto Bustard and KitKat. And once again, this top Banana duel. A different approach this time from Espada, though. They just send a message received, and they're falling off back of it. Beautiful double peek, but both squads were ready for it.
I really respect that change roll from Espada. We were just saying before about how maybe these constant B takes on Banana aren't the way forward. VP have clearly got the better of the last few engagements. So instead, they take apps control. They have a double stack in there. VP, even anticipating it could be a player, still come out worse for wear. And now Finnegan with the AWP. Not necessarily the first player you expect to see it with it on Espada. Normally Dexter, and maybe that's why. James was too fast. And now for all of the positives that we were just discussing, Patsy against the world. Bomb has been dropped down first, but this is where things should come to an abrupt end, or perhaps not. Patsy looking to be a hero, pulls down the play. He doesn't need any backup. He's a one-man wrecking crew, and Espada now have their 5th.
Wow, Patsy with the movements. This is what you want out of your pit player. It's being able to find the timings and isolate these 1v1s. That should have never been 1v1s. All 3 players from BP, the spacing was pretty decent enough, but Patsy finds the timings and absolutely capitalizes.
Nades being exchanged. A plethora of them. Most of them being mitigated, though, not quite connecting onto their designated targets.
Oh.
Did both Hoppers just, like, bump heads in amongst that smoke? That was so weird.
I think James kind of had an idea of walking up mid. Then he heard Dexter coming out of that boiler, and then things got real awkward for both of these players. But thankfully, they both do walk away. Man, that could have been real funky. But it's kind of come down to a lull, and VP, they had this top B control. This looks like it could just turn into a full-on B exec, and with just 2 defenders here, things could get real ugly really fast. What an interesting stack. Dima is good for it, but he's so low. VP know it. Only 1 defender on this B bomb site.
Dimmer against the world, and Dimmer comes out first. And now that he's put up enough of a nuisance and a blockade, the rest of his team can come through. Dimmer doesn't even need to peek in for the last, but he still goes in for the 4K. That's the last 2 rounds that I honestly think VP going back and watching this game, Potter will feel like they should have been theirs. They should have got their hands on these.
Yeah, it did seem like if they just did a simple B execute, banged it out, got the trades, they would have had it. But Dima's doing so well, throwing in a good amount of finesse to his aggression, just hugging that triple box and surviving. Surviving is the name of the game in that instance, waiting for backup to arrive, and it arrived just in the nick of time. But even if it didn't, man, Dima looked like he had everything under control. That's exactly what you want out of your B defender as well. Some fantastic stuff from them, and Espada, they're making this work, man. 6 rounds on the CT side. You know, lately Inferno has been such a tricky map, really turning into almost a T-sided affair for a lot of these teams. So right now, Espada have the advantage in the weaponry and in the man advantage. Oh, but Sophic goes a little too overzealous there. James was absolutely ready for that, and it looks like he knows that that's it. Only the one defender. They're hitting it, Vince. They're not stopping.
They still have Sanji as well as an ace up the sleeve if they need it. Dima's making moves straight through Banana. He could get the flank frag onto James, who never suspected it was a possibility. The bomb still hasn't been planted. They need Sanji now to shut down Dima before they even attempt this, but he's a bit slow. Dima's actually picking up the pace.
Oh.
He's got the headshot onto Buster. Another horrific turn of events for VP. Sanji was in the apps. He had everything in the palm of his hand, but VP will concede the last few. And as we move into the second half, it's anybody's game. Find out if Espada can take us to a third, but first a break. A half of Counter-Strike that could have easily been a lot more one-sided for VP, but as it stands, they only lead by 1. Incredibly scrappy, a bit confusing at times, Potter, but Espada, they're still in this game.
Absolutely, and I think a bit confusing is definitely the right way to put it, but also exciting at the same time. Definitely exciting. And right away now, coming through. We're not going to see those weird raid bosses that we saw yesterday when we were casting with the CZ and the dualies coming out. Looks like just some standard stuff, but Sanji does have a Molotov on pistol. You don't see that too often. Oh, Yukindar's going aggressive.
It's taking the fight to them, which will force Espada to respect that there could be a second and even a third player up there. Don't normally play this aggro for you by yourself, especially overstaying that welcome when flashes can rip through. The 4-player stack in A, the crossfire that's been established, won't be tested just yet. Yukinder needs to get some kills. You assume he will go down. How many frags can he post up beforehand? Well, none is the resounding answer. And now Patsy in the tunnels is hearing so many footsteps. This position is so good for Espada. He'll let them all pass. Sophic and the rest of the troops will sit here and wait. And this is about to get messy. This is about to become a bloodbath. But Patsy actually missing out a ton of bullets. Somehow VP is still in this round. Somehow it's a 1v2 that could turn back around in their favor. And Buster has only a few more bullets to spare. And Dima does silence him. But the fact that Espada had all the information they could have hoped for and only just snuck out with one player is kind of ridiculous.
That was wild. I think Patsy there were so many footsteps above him, and he called that the cavalry was absolutely here. And the 3 Ts that were already top B, you saw it. The bomb was stuck. Everyone was stuck. All of a sudden, the Ts became the defenders, and the CTs became the attackers. Got wild scenes out here, Vince, but another force fight coming out from both teams. Yukindar, again, very aggressive. There's a gap. Oh, there was a chance. There was absolutely a chance for him to get the bomb down, but James, that's going to be a juicy grenade landing right on top of Sotvic. And things have just kind of slowed down. I think Dima getting taken out early on in the round has really put a wrench in the works for Espada. That smoke, that sound cue, James is absolutely aware of it. He's got a lot of backup as well. This is a good crossfire, but it falls short. It completely collapses. All 3 members are down, and now it's just down to Kickert at this A bomb site all alone.
Things looked so good for VP. Utility was on point. The first few engagements went in their favor, but Espada have snuck into a 2v4 advantage. Still yet to get the bomb down. And Kickert will take the opportunity to move in up close. He does have 100% of his hit points still available. This isn't over necessarily just yet, and Espada don't have a ton of time left. They may feel compelled to go for A. They're walking onto the site that is currently under VP's control, and the first kill goes their way. Bomb down is coming into play. Buster can stay in position. Doesn't want to trade up to the AK because he knows he's going to be tested momentarily. Kick up with another spray down, but Patsy is his only victim, and Espada hold on for dear life. They take the lead on top of it.
Wow, surviving. That is definitely the key word, and by the skin of their teeth as well. VP, I think some whiffed shots there. Definitely not the right time for it to happen. And they're just down to the USPs. This should be farm time for Sopvic. He's wielding that MAC-10. And they're coming straight to him.
That was always going to be the power play, having a second player in second mid. I got to say, though, Potter, considering it was just USPs to get 2 kills and dink Sophic down to 23, like, that is already a really good turn of events for VP.
Dude, both these teams' pistols are just so ridiculous. The amount of damage that they're able to produce every time. It's so scary. And even now, there's another crossfire in mid. Things could get pretty dangerous, just all down to timing here. James kind of leaves Kickert at the worst time. And either way, it was asking a lot, but James will go down as well. And all is normal again. Gonna see a strong gun buy or a gun round rather, coming through for VP. They've got a lot of money.
I'm just amazed that Sotfik survived that. He was the first player to see the last two with USPs and low HP, and he survives and comes out the round with his weapon. So confusing, but VP now have a good buy alongside them. 3-player stack on top of Banana. Espada aren't really that interested. They've by and large given this one up. Dima tagged down to 36. I'll put him on the back foot and some shrapnel damage down middle. Softening Dexter up to 22, or takes him down 22 to 78 HP in total. But they have at least got a bit of apps control here, Potter. They're starting to make moves in towards that A side of the map.
Yeah, but not having any of this banana control, that's a good flash to kind of push him off the edge. But I think the fact that VP had this top banana control right now is giving a lot of confidence to their A defenders. Although it does pull James over, and this is the perfect timing as well.
Dimmer's up on the wall. Flashbang forces them back. Grenade tossed down. Dimmer survives on 2 HP. Sotfik also blasted down to 59. But because they had no kills after the grenades went down and not much sound cues have come in, you're seeing players switching weapons to trying to prioritize Dimmer on the AWP. It has forced away Jane back over onto the A side of the map. He's playing Speedway, and he needs to quickly wrap back around up close and personal. Oh, Spray is good for plenty of damage, but only 1 kill. Espada hanging on by the narrowest of margins. Spray through the smoke, even more damage being inflicted, and James through the smoke, through the coffin. And through Sotfik will drop the bomb, and that should be the round done and swept away. Dimmer, the most unlikely of survivors on 2 HP, who took so much damage early on in Banana, keeps the AWP going through into round 20, but VP finally get a bit of success.
Man, James just got that shot off right in the nick of time. Sotfik, well, should have almost got that bomb down. I thought this round was going to fall apart for VP. You saw Yakindar catch just a sliver of that flashbang at the last second. He wasn't able to help Buster out in the initial B defense, but either way, they're able to recover, and some early on aggression coming out from VP. They had such an easy time holding this banana control last time. This time, they want to take it a step further.
Flashbang through onto middle. Quad now being taken control by Espada. Early aggression facilitated a 3-player stack on A for VP. So they are in good spots if they do get engaged on momentarily. HE designated towards middle, chunking away Patsy. But they smoked off library. It affords them the opportunity to go for the wraparound play if they so choose. But Kikut in prime position to fend that away. It doesn't seem like Espada want to go for the wrap to B. They're more keeping their options available to hit A in multiple facets. First player that steps up is Yakinda. There's no follow-up though. Ooh. They're going out 1 by 1, and now the smokes are clearing. It seems too disjointed, too indecisive. And Espada are being picked apart, ripped to shreds. It may be a clean sweep of a round, and indeed it shall. You could see the ideas there, Potter, but it just didn't seem they're on the same page.
Yeah, exactly. And you said it right. That indecisiveness coming through. As soon as that contact happened towards that mini pit, that Palace player or the lane player needed to react. But the fact that Yakindar got those 2 kills, it was a little labored, I gotta say. There were some moments where Espada could have reacted from that Palace area, but either way, man, Yakindar does work, gets the double, and a solid A defense once again. Espada are just down to the Glocks now. We've seen some crazy things, Vince, but surely not this round.
I definitely would not put money on Espada getting really anything out of this, let alone the round. It should be an open, closed case. One thing I could maybe throw in as a devil's advocate is that this has been in parts one of the hardest to predict games of CS I've casted in quite a while, to put it mildly. But yeah, just the one Deagle. Looks like VP will be re-attaining their lead. Espada forced onto the back foot, stuck in Banana. They are pushing the site where there's only 2 CTs currently sat in position, one of which is Jame with the AWP. So if he were to miss and all those Glocks go in, maybe there was a way forward, but that's now been closed in the face of Espada, and not a single kill, which allows that economy now to build up nicely for the CTs.
I'll be interested to see how Espada approached this banana control in the beginning of the round. So far, they haven't really contested it early on. They've sat back, and VP have had their way with all of it. Not a lot of HU grenades in the beginning here. Dima uses the one he has. Actually, he's still holding on to it, and yeah, they're not really contesting it in the beginning, but that late flashbang will bring him in. Oh, and Yukindar thought he had the one up at the edge of that smoke, but Dima was so ready for it. Dima just seems to have a lot of good looks towards this banana, whether it was on the CT side or T side. He was so ready for Yukindar's shenanigans there. Oh, Buster needed that clean kill. He's all alone towards this B. You can see the rotations are coming through, but this B bomb site is about to be lost.
Yeah, already posting up for a potential retake, it would appear. Goes back in again. Right idea, but the spray not quite on point. I definitely agree. I think if he takes Dimmer down, it maybe affords VP the luxury of going a bit more aggressive on this retake. In terms of money, that's not really the issue. But they have an AK, an AWP, and a healthy dosage of weaponry alongside it. You don't want to throw away these kind of economic situations unless you really have to. Jane threads the bullet in the eyes of Dimmer, but there's not really enough time on the clock. They need to start getting up close, and they need to get it done right now. They need these frags, and the fact that Topvic has held his ground, that's the round done. Try as they may, VP will not get back onto the site, and Espada ties up again. 11-11, Potter.
Definitely close, but VP, they did their due diligence. Either way, even though they were okay with losing the round, they made it as expensive as possible. We're going to see at least one Galil coming out on the Espada side of things. Potentially 2. Okay, it's just going to be the 1. So this is a crucial round. Crucial round. Especially for Espada. If they lose this one, they will be broke. Jame, feeling confident, does miss that initial shot in Yukindar. He's back to square one. Coming through, he's half blind, and the reload catches him off guard. And Dima, once again, finding the 2 entries onto this B bomb site, and that's it. The round is already over, Vince.
VP are looking so shaky on these banana engagements. Like, they're just one by one, giving Espada way too many opportunities. Some confusion coming in. I mean, going into this game, VP in the last 3 months have played Inferno 22 times. They have a 77 win percentage against some of the best teams in Counter-Strike. Meanwhile, Espada, 23 maps, only a 52% win rate against much lower opposition. So, I mean, the statistics don't lie. VP are a team that should be taking this pretty comfortably more often than not. And the fact of the matter is that Espada will be leading. You touched on it just before. Espada's economy was in shambles. Getting the round and keeping all 5 players alive now affords them a chance at a couple more cracks at it. Even if they do concede this next round, they're still going to have AKs. They're still going to have options. The pressure is mounting for VP.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And it's just the small details once again, Vince. I mean, you saw it there. Yukindar, he's absolutely beaming with confidence, but small little missteps right here. You see, he thinks he has full control. The smokes are supposed to be some sort of imaginary invisible walls, but Dima was just waiting for that moment, listening to the sound cues, and absolutely pounced as soon as that reload came through. So Yukindar's gonna have to start approaching the rest of this half a little bit more cautiously, maintain that confidence, but include a little bit more finesse to it, because Espada are absolutely showing that they're ready to fight back. Oh, again, Yakindar getting caught out. At least Buster is there to trade out, but now he's burning. He's got to fall off the angle. And Espada, they can just push Buster off this one angle. And that Molotov does exactly just that.
Yeah, it does push him off, but it also denies Espada the chance to rush onto the site, which affords Sanji to get up close. So they can now bolster up the B site with 2 players as opposed to 1. The downside of that for VP, though, is now they have to just keep 1 player on A because they're trading away Kickert. Now, this is the correct decision, but they can't be sure of it. Molly's coming around the back of the site, and now Sanji pushes the smoke and affords Buster the chance to hold the line. Grenade could be good to finalize this round. Finnegan is getting shredded by it, down to 19 HP. The calls were on point. This time around, VP make the correct read at the correct time. But Potter, you kind of touched on this before. There's still a lot of very dodgy and iffy moments for VP on this banana hold. I am not sure about this at all.
Yeah, absolutely. It does seem like Espada have a lot of back pocket little looks to get themselves in these positions, and it's not helping VP's case, the fact that Yakindar is kind of misstepping just slightly, just very slightly, and Espada are always there to capitalize on it and just really punish him. Buster, spectacular shots coming out from that AWP, and of course it's Sanji that's there.
James with a good spawn from middle peak, but nobody is there to greet him. Early grenades, good spawn. In for Yakindar to get aggressive in banana. The smoke affords him safe passage to the logs. He sees Dima's Molly being tossed just behind him, and he has Buster up, playing anti-flash. First kill onto Dima, but also shields away Yakindar's position. He didn't have to open fire. So they've got this banana on lock. Finally, VP can feel pretty comfortable about this area of the map and focus their attention over on A. It's not boding too well at all for the T's. Kickert is playing up close. They could even flash him in if they want to peek for some intel. James' angle is a little bit sketchy, though. It's a one and done, but they now have that secondary player come over from B in the form of Yakindar. So Jane can afford to take a shot, stay alive for a little bit longer, knowing that Yakindar has his back covered. Smoke down, allows him safe passage away from there, and they can keep the 4 players on A because they have Buster watching down on Banana. They don't have to go for an over-rotation. Every second that passes looks like it's stacking against the Espada more and more. The smokes now in the eyes allow Sanji to get up close on quads. But VP draw away a couple of their players, and this could put them into an awkward position. James needs to start landing some of these shots. He's missed 2 of them on the cross. They're going to look for the wraparound, and this effectively becomes a 2v4.
Oh, things are real awkward with these VP rotations. Thankfully, Buster, he's got this AWP on the angle. And it looks like they'll be able to recover. There's only 8 seconds left on the clock. Things are real sketch for Espada right now, but man, Vince, it could have really gone the other way. Yakindar, there was a lot of confusion and indecisiveness coming through for VP. You saw Yakindar going back and forth through that CT spawn. He didn't want to leave Buster all alone at B. He didn't know where the hit was going to come. And thankfully, for VP's sake, they're able to actually recover. But again, that was close. That was very, very close.
Time the ultimate enemy of Espada. As they look to get aggressive. They're not interested in being timed out this time. They want to get up close and personal, but it's Buster and Yakindar that happily embrace them onto the site. Sanji also joined them. And this aggression has completely backfired for Espada. They find themselves in a 2v4. The only saving grace is they still have the bomb, but that's it.
That is it. A complete change of pace from Espada. They tried to just make this complete full send B rush work out. But Buster hits his shots, lands them. And now Kickert is about to run into some traffic, but James, oh, that is weird. I can't believe that's missed. James gonna want to replay that one back and throw some flashes to help out Kicker. Yakindar just barely saw the shoulder of Dexter there. There's the bomb down, and this is just becoming an impossible scenario now for Dexter, I think. Throws a little jiggle. At this point, it's just survival mode, Vince.
Exactly. Do as much damage on your inevitable way out as possible. Kicker nearly whiffed the spray. Looks to the heavens and thanks the CS gods for sparing him this time. But the surprising element to me is we've seen James miss some sitters. And I don't say that disparagingly. I'm not trying to beat him down or anything. It's just really, he's the guy that you expect to land so many shots because of how damn good he is. The first map he hit 39 kills. This map he's dropping 16. It's not like he's been underperforming statistically, but we've seen a few shots, especially over on Arches here, Potter, where he's missed shots that you expect him to land 99 out of 100 times, and it's just very, very surprising.
It is surprising. I'll tell you, if VP didn't have all those extra layers and the rotations, and not to mention the flashbangs to assist James when he misses those shots, his job would be a lot more difficult. But thankfully, VP do have all those protocols in play. And you can see here, Yakindar sticking real close to James. Last time, this crossfire really failed them, but the speed and mobility of these pistols might come through once again. Oh, Kicker saw the grenade. The jig is up, my friend.
And to make matters worse, there was so much damage done in middle as well, Potter, by grenades. They got completely shredded. I want to say 2 or 250 damage worth from shrapnel. And now VP have 3 match points. It's been labored. I don't think Gambit watching this game will be shaking too hard at the prospect of fighting off against this VP. But they still need to get across the finish line. And Espada, after having just pistols, now have full rifles. Maybe they can take us to our second consecutive overtime between these two. But it's going to be a difficult ask when VP have finally found some form at least.
Yeah, ever since Buster got that second AWP into his hands and really started giving Yakindar some breathing room at that top B, this CT defense coming up from VP has absolutely done a 180. Even now, it's just Buster onto that B bomb site. Yakindar running back and forth, figuring out exactly who he wants to help out.
The last few moments, perhaps, of this best of 3, but Buster finds himself alone on B with the AWP. He has probably been the more consistent of the 2 AWPers on VP over the duration here of Inferno. Now Yakindar will be joining him. Kicker, who's been very tricky in the apps, decides to push into the Molotov, and Patsy can't believe it. Buster now holds the line over on B, brings Espada into action. Good counter utility, keeps them at bay behind the Molotov. And now more of the cavalry has arrived, looking to stampede over Espada. We're waiting a little bit longer, maybe faking as if they've rotated back towards middle, but they line up and there's Yakindar. Now he's playing a bit more passively and not going hell for leather down Banana. He's getting way more success. And although Finnegan puts up a pretty spicy headshot, it feels like this will be getting dulled down very shortly. 9 seconds to play with. Buster puts the final nail in the coffin, and VP get it done 2-0.
Wow, things were looking pretty sketch there for a little bit there, Vince. I thought VP's defenses were going to crumble when I saw Yakindar kind of shaking towards that top B. But of course, it's James holding the ground, and it's Buster bringing in that secondary AWP to just seal the deal, solidify things, and go over the finish line. But that was labored, Vince. That was VP looked like they had to bring in everything they had in order to go across that finish line.
They really did. I felt like so much was depleted in terms of energy from that first map, which was just a real marathon. We saw some tired heads out there, but ultimately VP's experience and superior firepower got them across the line. We've played 3 best-of-3s today, Potter. We have 1 more to go to secure our final 4th team in the playoffs. We'll find out which one it is after the break, when the desk break down everything that we just saw.
Well, an absolute mile of a series. It went on for a ridiculous amount of time. Even if it ended in a 2-0, it definitely wasn't clear-cut for Virtus.pro. And you know what, Blair? I'm sort of sat here wondering, like, are they sort of having an off day? Because it's definitely not the Virtus.pro we're used to seeing.
Yeah, I have a few questions for them once we get one of the players for the interview, right? This is a VP who, it was a labored win. Even Inferno, sure, they were clearly the better team, and I'll be honest, Espada seemed a little lost on that particular map, but Mirage should have gone their way. We could be seeing map number 3 coming up over here. And even for VP, they had to dig in deep. Some uncharacteristic shots being missed by the likes of someone like James, for example. This is stuff you don't expect to see from a team who recently won a massive tournament, a tier 1 tournament, just a few days ago. So it could be, like I said, you know, the pressure's off. They're playing a little sloppy right now, maybe. Or it just could be the fact that CIS teams, when they play each other, it is usually messy.
Well, yeah, it sort of links to something you were saying, Maui, about how Yakinda had to take a lot of the battles for them, you could say.
Yeah, definitely. CIS Counter-Strike, like Blood was saying, it can be messy, but Yakinder is one that likes to get his hands dirty, and I feel like the way that they play B, it kind of lives and dies by him. Thankfully for VP, Yakinder is a super high-skill player. He generally has great decision-making, especially in these early round fights, so a lot of props to him. Definitely did get caught off a couple times, though. I think Potter and Vince were both recognizing that on the cast, that there were some moments where he was slipping at times, but that's because there's so much burden on his shoulders to be taking those opening duels time and time again. And the thing is, when they're Espada, you know that it's going to be Yakinder facing you first off in the round. So they knew it was coming. VP knew what was going to happen as well. It's just a lot of brawly Counter-Strike, and VP were thankfully able to come out on top at the end.
Yeah, and I believe, Blair, you actually have a drawing board as well that you're going to take us through to maybe slightly show some of these moments.
Yeah, this was one of the more nicer rounds, actually. VP, they came off on Inferno T side. It's their map pick, right? They're going to be feeling comfortable. And look at the amount of utility they have. Just take a look at the amount of utility they have. The 2 Molotovs, 3 smokes, 2 flashbangs, something which you rarely see in CS, in all honesty. Now, let's take a look at what happens here. They go early towards Banana. You have Sanji and Buster. They don't face, they don't show. They wait for the flashbang from Sotvic, Finnegan, and Patsy. They don't see anyone. They wait for Kikut and Yakinder to peek in together alongside them, and then they take the fight. It is going to be a little bit of a messy brawl there. Buster gets the opening pick. Flashbang comes from Sotvic to kind of enable Patsy to fall back towards the bomb side. And now, James is going to be heading towards Slope, looking for any potential push coming in from maybe from Dexter. And then look at the utility usage. I mean, it's default stuff. On a pistol round, it's fantastic. 2 smokes, the default smokes. We have this. We have the Molotovs as well. Sotvic's burning alive. And then they all pounce together with the 1 flashbang. Buster finds Sotvic, Patsy with 1, but gets quickly traded. And just wait for it. Wait for it. They're going to get the bomb down right now. They're playing on top in a safety, and then the 3rd smoke gets used here, or rather the 2nd smoke by James. A 3rd smoke, actually, and that's the amount of utility they had. And yeah, in the end, it was a 1v4. There was nothing Dexter could do. It was a very textbook round coming out from the side of Gambit, but I just love the fact that they had a game plan in mind. They used the utility well, and it was one of the cleaner, more tactical rounds we've seen so far in this particular series.
Yeah, for sure. And it was one that I think that we were sort of happy to see, because there were, as Maui was saying, a lot of sort of messier moments, almost uncharacteristic moments coming out of the side of Virtus.pro. Well, someone who spoke earlier, a little bit of content piece, was Kicker. And I almost wonder how you're feeling after today, because it has been a long one, a disappointing performance earlier, but you have managed to come back. But do you still feel like there's another gear that you're yet to hit throughout this tournament so far?
Hello, it was a crazy games here and pretty interesting matches, and yeah, we are waiting for a good run on this tournament.
Okay. Kicker, I mean, you guys just won Flashpoint very recently, right? Very, very recently, playing against a lot of good teams. In this tournament, is it like you guys are a little relaxed? Is that why you're struggling? Or is it because it's hard to play against your CIS brothers, your CIS teams? Is that the case?
It's always hard to play against CIS teams, so it's not like a chill run on this tournament. It's like at the end of the year, it's our last tournament, and so I think we're a little bit tired and we're just not playing on our 100%. It's like 70 or 80 right now.
Okay.
Kicker, again, congrats on winning Flashpoint. Didn't get to talk to you there, but you played amazingly. One thing that I noted when I talked to Yakinder recently is that you especially are incredibly clutch in those kind of 2v3, 3v3 situations. I feel like you always come out on top, but today it was so much more back and forth. It felt like Espada and Fours both were converting those situations, and you were just beating OG and Fnatic and Big in a lot of those similar situations. So do you think that, I guess to build off of Blez's question a little bit, do you think that the teams that are from your region kind of know how you're going to play those 3v3s a little bit more, or like what do they have a read on you perhaps?
I don't know, we just lost some crucial rounds, like when we were on advantage, like it was 5 versus 2, 4 versus 2, and I don't know how it is, but today against Espada, I don't think we just lost a lot of these crucial moments. I think we even won 2v4 or 2v5, and I think it's good for us. And against Force, we just lost this crucial situation because it was a morning and we couldn't focus on the game.
Okay.
Like we didn't get used for the game on morning.
That makes sense. Yeah, it was pretty early for us too.
So coming up next, going into the playoff stage, you will be facing off against another CIS team. Apologies, it's going to be the third in a row. And it is going to be Gambit. Now, you've played them a couple of times as the youngsters. You played them again more recently in November. They seem to actually have a pretty good matchup against you, but I think it's 3 times in a row now. It hasn't quite gone your way. Do you have anything specifically looking at this team? Because when we started off this tournament, we were like, okay, the 2 teams we expect to be in the final, Virtus.pro and Gambit. So have you got anything ready for them?
Yep, I guess we are ready for them because they recently were playing Blast or some ESL event, and we were watching games against Astralis and other big teams like Complexity, and I guess we know how they're playing, and I think it's gonna be a good match.
I would be inclined to agree. I'm very much looking forward to that one coming up tomorrow. So thank you very much for joining us. Go and have some rest and get ready for what will be another banger CIS game tomorrow.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Always a pleasure. I feel like we get an awful lot of interviews with Yakinder. I feel like he's become the sort of face of VP over the last few months, especially coming on your podcast a couple of times. When are you going to switch it up? You going to get Kick It in now? If you'll have him, I guess.
I mean, why fix what ain't broken, right? I mean, Yakinder's doing great on that pod, on my pod.
Well, we can bring up the bracket, and well, I guess Blair, you can talk us through what we've seen so far.
Yeah, it's been some interesting games. Everything kind of playing out the way it did on day, at least initially, until Force took down VP, and unfortunately Espada, they came across the Bears that are VP. Close game, Espada, I don't think they're going to be too disappointed with the way it played out, but we're going to be maybe, I don't want to ruin it, saying, oh, it is the grand finals of the tournament. It's not. It's going to be the semis coming up, right? But VP coming in second from the group, I don't think any of us actually expected that to happen.
Well, let's not jump the gun, Blair. We do still have another game coming up today. It is going to be Saw facing off against Namiga. Haven't seen Saw on the mainstream just yet, and hopefully we will be seeing whether or not they will get through. But we will have to wait and see. Join us after the break to find out who's making that final playoff spot.